SOP 321. Today we are going to be talking about moolah, money, dinero.
It's the School of Podcasting's morning announcements. Here's Dave Jackson.
Podcasting since 2005. I am your personal podcast coach. Thanking you so much for tuning in. This is where we talk about all things podcasting, from gear to promoting, to recording, to monetizing, all points in between, because everything you need to create a podcast you can find in one place. Quit wasting time doing Google searches where you find information that's outdated that you don't even know is outdated. Go to theschoolofpodcasting.com. Find the most efficient way to get your podcast up and running. And if you'd like to join in on the conversation, I would love to have you. And that is by email, dave@schoolofpodcasting.com. You can call in your comments. If you have a phone, it's 888-563-3228. You can also use the voicemail button right on the right-hand side of the screen, or you can just leave a comment out at our blog at schoolofpodcasting.com. So I've been listening around. Mike over at Music Radio Creative was talking about making money on a podcast. Daniel J. Lewis was talking about making money with Audible, which actually, if you want to hear my version on that, go to schoolofpodcasting.com/278. I actually talked about that, I think it was last October, which we will be talking about today as well. And I was in one of the forums that I frequent, they were like, how much money can you make as a podcaster? Now, much like anything else, and without doing the complete blowing smoke here, kind of as much money as you want. It all depends on the more you put into it, the more you're going to get out of it. But it does rely on a couple things, and we're going to get into that. But I want to tell you, this show is going to really have just one topic today, and that is making money with your podcast. So if you're brand new to podcasting, this is not the place to start. In fact, I tell people, I have a book called More Podcast Money. You can find that at More Podcast Money. You can look for it at Amazon. It's a Kindle book. And that is basically, if you're getting into podcasting for the money, don't. Because you make money from your audience and you don't have one yet. And so if you get in just for money, I'm going to get into podcasting, I'm going to make it rich. Yeah, it's not going to work that way. It's just not. And so we're going to talk about, well, how do you make money? And what have you done? So I'm going to tell you whose fault this is. My good buddy, Charles McFall from the Bear Crawling Nation. And he says, Dave, I see you've changed the way you manage the School of Podcasting. Yes, it used to be $40 a month, and it is now $40 for the first month, and then $5 a month after that. He says, I see you're using Digital Access Pass. Looks like a great system. I like your new method of lowering the rates after the first month. However, I need your advice. Beautiful. That's what I'm here for. I'm a few years behind you in generating revenue. So is there a more economical way to secure premium content? I know you've done some segments on the SOP, but on this topic, but I would like to hear an episode dedicated to your journey through the premium world and why you made the decisions you did and what worked for you. So I feel like Casey Kasem, by request today, going out to Charles. It's how to make money with podcasting. All right, so a couple things. There's a program that's very popular called WP Wishlist, I believe is the official name of it. I think we just call it Wishlist. That is another membership program. And I liked it, but there was a feature that other websites had called dripping. And this means that the good news about a membership site is when you get people to sign up, many times they just don't unsubscribe ever. And one of the reasons, to give you, again, I'm going to peel back the curtain today. One of the reasons I decided to have that second month, third month, fourth month, whatever month, number one, I had people that had signed up for the School of Podcasting when it was $5 a month that had been there for years. And so to me, I was like, okay, apparently the $5 mark is the mark that people, when that comes through and they see it on their PayPal spreadsheet, they don't go, ooh, yeah, better cancel that one. And so I made more money from those people than the people that signed up for $40 a month, stuck around for 2 months, and then left. Okay, so I also want to say this up front. I am not in podcasting to make money. I make money from podcasting, but I love podcasting. That is my passion. And we're going to get into that. That's the other reason why I lowered the price. So that's where I came up with the $5. But one of the things I started the School of Podcasting for is to give you kind of the Dave story, I got out of college. I had a degree in electronic engineering, a 2-year, an associate's degree. I was a copier technician. I did that for a year. And then copiers became more robust. And we had tons of customers that were causing problems because they didn't know how to run their copier. They were running tree bark through the bypass. And so the manager of the service department said, you seem to have the gift of gab. We need somebody to go out, set up the equipment, and train them. And we're going to say how to run their copier, but more importantly, how not to run their copier. Okay? So I would go out, set up the equipment, and then do this training session. And I really liked connecting with people. And the other thing I found out is when you're a technician, every piece of equipment you touch is broken, and those people are not happy. These people were happy because it was brand new equipment. So I liked my job much better. And they said, here's the problem. We have a great service staff. We have a great sales staff, but the ball is being dropped by our customer. And we don't care how you do it. Just fix it. And so I got to work to having better trained customers. And I did that for 10 years at this company. And in the process, I, 1 year, won Employee of the Year, which was the first time somebody who wasn't a salesperson ever won that award. I then got moved into another division where I, again, won Employee of the Year. I'm a very creative person, and so I ended up working in the newspaper industry, training people how to run their copiers or how to run their scanners, which was fun. I then worked in just our general training department, training people on copy machines. I worked with training salesmen on how to sell. There were basically 4 different divisions in this company. It was like 4 different companies under one name, and I made it through all 4. One Employee of the Year, and then the bad news about being in the training department is when sales don't hit their figures, the first thing that gets cut is, you guessed it, training, because we wouldn't want to work smarter now, would we? And so after 10 years, I was let go. Now, I didn't have a degree in education, though. My degree was in electronic engineering. Fast forward about 7 years, after working through, I worked at a company that was just horrible, just horrible, doing, again, technical training, and I worked on their help desk, but it was just horrible. And I went to work for a friend, and you know how they say never go to work for friends? There's a reason for that. And so it just dawned on me that every time I went to get a job, they said, you really need a degree in education. So I said, I guess I'm going to go back and get a degree in education. And so at that time, a friend of mine said, hey, do you remember MySpace and how you missed the boat on it? That tells you how long ago this was. This is 2005. And I said, yeah. He goes, I just came back from this internet convention, and the word of the day is podcasting. And I did a Google search, and there was just nothing. I mean, just nothing. Like, I don't know, 10 hits total, maybe, tops, just 0. So I found what I could, and I remember downloading the Juice program. There was this podcatching thing, and here came the voice of Adam Curry. And when I finally figured out how to make an RSS feed, how to upload a file and have it come back to you, I was like, ooh, this is going to be huge. And if supply and demand is still in effect, more people are going to want to know how to do this. I'm going to set up a membership site to show people how to do it, and that'll give me enough money to go back to school, give me a flexible schedule. I'll be able to set my own hours, and I'm going to go get my bachelor's degree in education. That's how that's the birth of the School of Podcasting. I used a program called Amember for that. And until last week, I was using Amember. Amember is not a bad program. It works. The support is good, but it didn't do everything I wanted it to do. So I looked at Wishlist, which is another very popular program, but there was this feature called dripping. And the good news and the bad news about a membership site is you can right now sign up for the School of Podcasting, and you can consume everything I've done. It's about 5 hours of information on how to start, launch, build your own website, It's basically planning your podcast, building your website, recording your podcast, publishing your podcast, and promoting it. And I'm working on some things for how to monetize it as well. But I like the idea of having a drip, because what this means is you can have people sign up and then say, give them this much information the first month, this much information the second month, and the third and the fourth. And for that way, they're constantly getting information, even though you made it, who knows when. And that feature didn't exist in Wishlist. It might now. I don't know. They had a weird dripping thing, but it was a nightmare. So I looked into a couple other programs. I looked at Magic Members. I actually installed Magic Members 2 weeks ago, but I had been using Digital Access Pass on my marketing musician site. And to make a long story short, it's just better. If you're just starting out, Magic Members could be pretty cool. If you go to schoolofpodcasting.com/Magic Members, nothing against that. Great support. But I liked Drip because I can easily go in and look at all my content and go, okay, give this one on day 1, give this one on day 2, and things of that nature. So, and I like that idea because when you hit everybody with everything you got, it's kind of feeding people with a fire hose. So now there are Digital Access Pass is, I want to say $130, something of that nature. Yeah, for a single user, single site, it's $167. It's not cheap. There is a free WordPress plugin called S2 Member. You just Google the letter S, the number 2 member. It's a free plugin. Now, if you want to take payments, you're going to have to buy that. That is it's not a free plugin. If you're going to make money, they need to make money is how that one works. There is one called eMember. If you go to schoolofpodcasting.com/eMember, it is $50. And it's a pretty cool plugin. I've used that before, and it's not a bad plugin. To me, Digital Access Pass, number 1, has phenomenal support, and it gives me the ability to sell single products and have a membership site and do packages and do coupons. It really does everything. It's really, really cool. So that is that. Now, why did I lower the price? Well, number 1, like I said, I was removing some things out of it. And then we're going to get into here in a second how much money I made in July. So if you're bored, just fast forward to the music and you'll kind of skip the story of the School of Podcasting. So I didn't really like Wishlist Member. It didn't do everything that I could see was available in membership scripts. And so I switched to DAP, and the reason I lowered my price is I had to step back and think, why do I do the School of Podcasting? Is it just about the money? And it's not. And I know you can say, okay, then Dave, do it for free, Dave. Do it for free. No, because I've got a $400 student loan payment. I've got a car payment. I've got credit cards. I got kids. Back to school. That's the most painful phrase in the English language, baby. Back to school. You're like, seriously? You need what? A calculator is what? Ouch. So I'm trying. So I can't do it for free. And so I said, but why I got into this was to help people podcast, because I love podcasting. I love the friends I've made. I love knowing I've helped people. I love networking with people who then give me great content because I gave them great content. And I'm like, okay, I need to lower the threshold of this. And people said I didn't sign up because I can't take the $40 a month. And I'm like, well, what if I made the other months less? So we're testing that at this point to see. Because what had happened is my consulting rate wasn't high enough to get the attention of the big shot smarty pants people. And my membership fee was too much of a burden for the average Joe, I just want to start a podcast person. And I'm like, okay, well, what can I do here? And still make some money. So I did some research, saw where I still had people that were still subscribed for $5 a month. And said, let's try this. Because I got my bachelor's degree And one of the things I also did was I got married. And to make a long story short, we have a lot of debt. And so right now, I'm going to work. That doesn't mean somewhere in the future, is it my dream to be a full-time podcast consultant? Maybe. But I also know I'm a really good teacher. When I get in a classroom, I had so much fun when I was at the Writer Summit in Kentucky, because this one session just couldn't have gone a whole lot better. And without sounding like a complete egomaniac, I just nailed it. And I even got so cocky to pull somebody out of the audience, and it just hammered the point home on how easy it is to podcast and how to make your own website, things like that. And it was like, so I don't want to give that up. I mean, I spent 20 years developing classroom presentations. I don't want to give that up. So right now, please don't say, oh, it's such a bummer that you had to give up consulting. No. Right now, I got it all. I've got classroom training. I get to do podcast consulting in the evenings. I get to record my podcast on the weekends. And I'm slowly digging myself out of debt. And more importantly, I'm helping people. Hopefully now as I eliminate some of these hurdles. So the thing that is rough about premium is let's say you had 1,000 downloads per episode, and you start going, man, if I charge $10 a month, that's $10,000. No. Take that by 1%. So you say 1,000 times 0.01, and you get 10. So you just made $100 a month. A lot of people love free stuff. That doesn't mean you can't get a lot of people to subscribe. But just don't think, well, if I get 80%, you're not. I'm not saying you can't. But if you do the studies, there were a few people back in 2004 that had big audiences, and they went to the premium thing, and the first thing I heard is, man, I didn't get as many people as I thought I was going to. So it's handy, comes in handy, but just be careful with that number, because it's hard to get people that have been used to getting things for free to pay for them. That doesn't mean they won't, because The Wizard of Oz, I'll use Paul Colligan's example. The Wizard of Oz is on TV on a regular basis, but you can also go buy it. So people will pay for things that they can get for free if you provide a value. So in the case of The Wizard of Oz buying it, now you can watch it whenever you want. In the case of School of Podcasting, I'm going to save you from having to search and wade through all the outdated material. I'm going to show you exactly step by step how to go through it. So I'm going to save you time. So keep that in mind when you go premium. That I remember I had a client once that started a podcast and out of the door had a premium model. So his audience could buy his back catalog. And I explained to him, okay, you're going to have some patience here because you don't have an audience. And he was doing twice the work. He would do his free version, and then he would do his bonus content. And I said, okay, but you do realize you don't have an audience yet. And so he got bored. He got tired. He was doing double the work. And I explained to him, and he was looking literally for, after the first month, why isn't anybody signing up? Because you don't have an audience yet. It takes, you make money from podcasting by the relationship you build with your audience. And the key there is with your audience. So the first step is to get an audience. And to get an audience, you have to know who your audience is. How do you know who your audience is? By answering emails, by starting conversation with emails. A lot of times, if somebody sends me an email, I'll be like, oh, cool, blah, blah, blah. Here's the answer to your question. Tell me about your podcast. Because people love to talk about themselves. And we'll have a little email conversation going by. I love the chat window now. I'm getting to know my audience. That was the other thing that kind of boosted this. When I saw who was coming to the website, I'm like, yeah, these people are not going to be able to stomach the $40 a month. Each month. They might be able to handle it once, but they're not going to stick around. And I wanted people to stick around. So you have to know your audience. You get to know your audience by answering emails, by answering voicemails, by going out to comments and going where your audience is and get to know your audience. I do a podcast for musicians. I used to go to jam nights and hand out business cards after I got to know those people. So figure out who your audience is, go to where they are, make friends with them. Please don't skip step 3, make friends with them, and then tell them about your podcast. But it's all about the relationship. And that takes time. I mean, I've been doing this for almost 8 years now. Why? Because I love it. Podcasting is my passion. I can't explain that any more than that. It is. It makes me smile when I help people, when I meet cool people, when I learn new things, and it's creative, and I'm a creative person. So that's step number 1, is you have to have an audience. And you have to have a profitable audience as we get into this. So here's again what we're going to talk about, just to give you where we're headed. We're going to talk about my total income, the breakdown of it, how much of it was affiliate marketing, how much of it was donations, how much of it was selling of products, and then we'll talk about my expenses. So let's get into this. You have to have a profitable niche, which sounds weird because it sounds like I'm picking my topic based on, is it profitable? And if that's the case, probably going to be like that one person goes, look, I've been doing this a month, haven't made a penny. But you also have to realize that in my case, the Marketing Musician podcast, I don't make maybe $10 a month on that. I mean, it pays for its hosting. But that particular audience apparently has no money, or B, I've done a very bad job of explaining the value that I could provide for them. One of the two. And that could be because I'm a great teacher. Maybe I'm not a great salesperson. That would be the first question. Is your audience an audience that has money? If it's nonprofit, if your audience is nonprofit, that means it's got to go through a committee before they can write you a check. It means you're going to need some patience. And the other thing that I noticed when I looked at my numbers and things, my 2 least profitable podcasts, one is called the Marketing Musician Podcast. The other one is called Feeding My Faith. Both those podcasts have something very glaringly, blatantly in common, and that is their schedule is not consistent. Both of those. Feeding My Faith, I've been working on the next episode for like a month, and it's kind of a heady episode, so I don't want to just spit it out. And the Marketing Musician Podcast, I used to be in a band, and so I got a lot of content from being in a band, and I'm not anymore. And so it's harder and harder to find good content. So I've switched. I'm going to make that now every other week because I can't create great content on a weekly basis, but I can every other week. And that's one of the powers of podcasting is you get to create your schedule. Just whatever it is, stay consistent, because I have seen firsthand where that really does make a difference. All right? So that's a bit of the history. Now let's talk about what's going on now. All right, again, and I'm really nervous about this. I do this again, not to brag. Just here's what happened in July. So let's talk about my audience. And one of the things we will be talking about in the future is why you want your media host to have unlimited bandwidth is because when you have multiple episodes, this is episode 321, people will download your entire back catalog. And because of that, in July, the School of Podcasting had 24,929 downloads, almost 25,000 downloads. That's, almost 1,000 a day. I'm very proud of that. But if you don't have unlimited bandwidth, you're in a problem. The Logical Weight Loss Podcast at logicalloss.com had 9,855 downloads in a month. The Marketing Musician Podcast, this least profitable podcast, had 1,578 downloads per month in July. These are all in July. The Jillian Michaels Podcast had 1,089 downloads in July. That is the only podcast I do for the money. I like Jillian Michaels. I respect Jillian Michaels as a trainer, but there was a big hole where she used to do a radio show and she quit to go adopt a kid, and everybody was looking for Jillian Michaels information, and I filled that information, and it was a very profitable for a little bit. It was a very profitable podcast. Not so much anymore, but it's not bad. But I still do it because I still make money with that. Weekly Web Tools is a podcast at weeklywebtools.com. 796 downloads. Building a Better Dave at Better Dave. Probably my least downloaded podcast, 602 downloads in July. More Podcast Money is a companion podcast to my book, which if you want to blatant plug here, if you want to learn how to do this, buy my book, More Podcast Money, at morepodcastmoney.com. 486 downloads in July. Feeding My Faith, 159 downloads in July. Now here again, if we divide that by 4, that would be 40 downloads an episode. That's a really big classroom. The Power of Podcasting had 459 downloads. That's at powerofpodcasting.com. That brings the total downloads in July for me, 39,918. So can we just, between friends, let's just round up 72 and say 40,000 downloads in July. Now here's what I got for those 40,000 downloads. My affiliate marketing, I made $988.45. And there were 2 that really stand out. One is hosting. So when people do the Quick Start program and you order hosting through me, I make a nice affiliate commission on that. And I had a number of people take me up on that. If you've never heard of that, that's where you basically, if you don't have a website, contact me, put Quick Start in the subject. I will send you a link for your web hosting. When you buy that, I earn a commission. I take your commission. I give you a free month at the School of Podcasting. I install WordPress for you. I install all the plugins. And basically all you have to do then is provide the graphics and the content, and you'll then have a month of access to the School of Podcasting, and you're good to go. And so I made $500 doing that last month. Then the second one was Audible. Now, Audible, here again, I'm going to attribute to the Jillian Michaels podcast because she has a book that she has 2 books you can download at Audible. And so I went to my audience and I said, hey, if you want a free audiobook, Jillian, if you want to listen to Master Your Metabolism, if you want to listen to her other book, whose name is escaping me right now, just go to audibletrial.com/Dave. And people did. And every time they did, I got $15. Well, so that was a nice check. I made 3 figures with that. How's that? But if you want to join up for this, go to schoolofpodcasting.com/Audible. Audible, that's why every podcaster is promoting them. It's a great fit for a podcasting audience because your audience likes to listen to stuff. And if you actually go to schoolofpodcasting.com/Audible, I will actually earn a small commission for you signing up to be an affiliate to where you can sign up and earn money. It's a great program. So hosting, I did that. People signing up for Jillian Michaels' website, I made $35 doing that. My weekly Web Tools podcast, I made $34 in affiliate marketing, selling other people's products that I liked or knew. I did make $5 on the Logical Weight Loss podcast from 24 Hour Fitness because somebody bought a body bug. And again, the Audible. So that means, again, in affiliate marketing, I made $988.45. Donations, I don't do a lot with donations. There are those podcasts that make thousands of dollars in donations. But for me, I got $25 on the Logical Weight Loss podcast. And I actually talked about the Tip 5 program. I think I talked about that here on this program. And somebody tipped me $5. Thank you very much if that was you. And so I made roughly $30 in donations. Now, I do have products for sale. I have a podcast called The Podcast Review Show, which when I think about it is not in my download numbers. So we definitely had 40,000 downloads. I forgot to put that in there. The problem when you have so many podcasts, they're like your kids. You forget, oops, we forgot Charlie. But I made $20 because people pay me to review their podcast. In consulting, I made $259 in membership. And this is all in the show notes. If you go to schoolofpodcasting.com/321, that'll take you right here. My membership sites, I have Marketing Musician. I have the School of Podcasting. I have some other ones. $315. In audio editing, I have people that want to do a podcast, but they just want to record it. And in a way, this is kind of consulting. I could have put this under consulting, but they will basically record it, send me the file in a Dropbox, and I will edit it, stitch together their podcast, and upload it to Libsyn for them, do all that stuff. All they want to do is record. So I made $81 doing that. I had $20 in book royalties from the sale of my book, More Podcast Money. And so that brings up the total product sales of $683 in product sales. So $30 in donations, $988 in affiliate income, and $683 in the sale of products. So that means my total income for July 2012 was $1,730.46. That is much better than a poke in the eye. Not too shabby. And that's part-time. That's me podcasting on the weekends, doing some consulting occasionally in the evenings. Now, if we break this down per podcast, you can see what some of these do. My blog, which isn't even a podcast, made $9. Marketing Musician, again, my least profitable podcast, was $8.50. So I spent $5 on Libsyn hosting, so I made $3.50 with that podcast this month. But again, I made money. I didn't lose any money. The Logical Weight Loss podcast made $50. The School of Podcasting made $654. The More Podcast Money website made $22. Weekly Web Tools made $35. Now that's actually doubled already for August. I know that one for sure. So you'll have good months and bad months. The Jillian Michaels podcast, where I basically associated most of the sales of Audible to Jillian Michaels, made basically $370. And then I occasionally mention supportthisShow.com. It was something I did a while ago. I don't really do it a whole lot now. But again, showing you how your back catalog comes into play. People apparently hear this in older episodes, and I made $1.62 from supportthisShow.com. So that's the breakdown. Now, Feeding My Faith made $0. Building a Better Day made $0. I can't tell if the Power of Podcasting made any. I can't tell, if some of these other podcasts made money, because there's nothing to track that. So my expenses were, I have Feeding My Faith is on Blueberry hosting. That was $12 a month. Many of my other podcasts are on Libsyn, so I end up spending $45 for Libsyn. I have a $15 account, and then I have a bunch, I think, of $7 accounts, if I remember right. My web hosting, which you can find at schoolofpodcasting.com/hosting, I bought the package that lets you have more than one domain. So all of those websites, davidjackson.org, marketingmusician.com, logicalloss.com, schoolofpodcasting.com, morepodcastmoney.com, weeklywebtools.com, et cetera, those are all under one hosting package. I pay $15. So that's an expense. And then my PayPal fees were $35.73, which means my total expenses were $107.73. That means my net income was $1,622. Again, part-time work. Not too shabby. And that's after doing this for 8 years. So that is how you can see the majority of my money comes from affiliate income. It would be a toss-up between affiliate marketing and consulting and membership sites. But that is the nice thing about a membership site. Once you get people to sign up, if you can continue to give them value, they won't leave. And that's why I want to make it easy for people to sign up. I want to build my community. And that's the point I wanted to make. One of the reasons I had to ask myself, why did I start the School of Podcasting? Yes, I wanted to make money to help get me through school. I needed a flexible job with flexible hours that made enough money to allow me to pay for my car, my phone, my gas, my book, and maybe some food. And so the School of Podcasting did that. And so now, what am I looking to do? Well, I'm looking to help pay off the world's hugest student loan, along with still got my car payment, my phone payment, I still got to pay for gas and things of that nature. But the other thing that I want, why I started the School of Podcasting, is I want to help people. I want them to see the power of podcasting. I want them to get the feeling that I feel when I help people, when I meet and greet and develop relationships with people, and how great that is. So that's why I lowered the price. And that is why, off the top of my head right now, if you enter the coupon code LISTENER, you will get a discount off that first month. It's the last hurdle I can take down. And then every month after that is $4.99. Use the coupon code LISTENER. Let's knock off 30%. because I'm looking to do this now in bulk, for lack of a better phrase. What makes me happy is helping people. So I want to scratch my other itch, which is my teaching itch. And so that's why I'm making it easier. And that's why I'm making it better. And I'm hoping, I want to be, this is what I want. I want to be the website about podcasting. So that when anybody brings up podcasting, they go, oh, this is the place. Hence my phrase, everything you need to launch a successful podcast. I just want people to say that to everywhere they go. Oh, podcasting? Let me tell you about this site. You're not going to believe it. And it's cheap. And you can join it. And it's not expensive. And it'll walk you through stuff. But I just want that. I want that phrase to come out of everybody's mouth. Oh, let me tell you about this place. And you can't tell people about the place unless you've been there. And you can't be there unless you can afford it. So now it's affordable. So come on in. I'm here to help you. And so I'm looking to do it in bulk. The reduced fees will now, help you find the content because there's less content to go through. We have a streamlined process now. That's why I could sleep at night and say, why am I lowering my fees? Well, because you're getting less content. You just have the good stuff now. I've made the link section at schoolofpodcasting.com/links. That's now free. So I'm not charging you for that. And again, I can sleep at night now going, okay, I lowered the fee because I'm giving more stuff away. So if you're looking for music, if you're looking for graphics, things like schoolofpodcasting.com/links. Why? Because I want this to be the website. I want this to be the website. When people talk about podcasting, go, oh, no. I don't know what you're talking about, but I got this is the website. This is the place for podcasting. That's why I did it. So, Charles, I hope that answers your question. If you have more, I'm here to answer them all. Today, we talked a lot about making money with your podcast. And I hope you found that. It's 40 minutes I've been talking. Holy cow. Well, I knew it was going to be a long topic. A lot of history in there. Hope that didn't bug you. But I've had people ask me that before, kind of like, what was the inspiration of the School of Podcasting? And that was it. And so I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you take advantage. Again, use the coupon code LISTENER, LISTENER. That's you. Get 30% off that first month. Every month after that is $4.99. And stick around because there's some great content coming down the pike. If you're looking to make money with your podcast, again, go over to morepodcastmoney.com. You can get my book there. And that is going to do it for this episode. A little behind the scenes today. And again, the last thing I want you to think is that I'm bragging. Because trust me, here's the beautiful thing. I'll leave on this note. I know people that make more money than I did in July from one sponsor. So I'm not bragging. I just want you to know that while you shouldn't get into podcasts to make money, you can make money from a podcast. There's two key ingredients. Number one, make content that people want to talk about to their friends. And number two, make relationships with your audience, get to know them, be friends, then tell them about their podcast. Then they're going to find that content that they want to tell their friends about, and they'll tell their friends about it. And that's how it works. So thank you so much for tuning in. Our website is schoolofpodcasting.com. Click on the Join Now button. Now is the time. Before I change my mind, which I'm not. I'm just teasing. If you'd like to join in on the conversation, again, my email is dave@schoolofpodcasting.com. You can call in your comments, courtesy of podcastvoicemail.com. By the way, that's an affiliate link. I don't know if I've mentioned that in a while. 888-563-3228. You can, and actually that's not in that report. Well, that's because I just got to check. That would be in August. I got to check for $33.17 from podcastvoicemail.com. You can make money with a podcast. What else did I fit? Hey, click the voicemail button on the right-hand side or just leave a comment out at our website. So thank you so much for tuning in. Really would love any kind of feedback on this. I feel very naked right now. I'm just hoping, I'm going, ew, is this going to go over wrong? I hope not. I hope you see, I'm doing this in a helpful thing to say, look, yes, you can. Yes, you can. Now I'm sounding like a presidential candidate. Yes, you can. So thank you very much. If you don't have a website, check out the Quick Start Guide at the website. Enjoy your holiday. And until next week, class is dismissed. God bless. We'll see you on the inside. Planning your podcast gear, promoting your podcast, reporting your seriously,